What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Big Dog Brett, thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. Today, we're going to be talking about the upcoming games tomorrow. And we'll venture out into some other tributaries as we move along. Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Um, there's only one reason why that game is interesting. We'll talk about that in a minute. Georgia Tech. Lots of reasons that game is exciting. Texas and Texas A&M, which seems to be what everybody's talking about. Ohio State, Michigan, and we're also going to talk a little bit about Alabama and Auburn, some of the playoff implications. And there's another topic that I really wanted to talk about, and it is the BCS model versus the 4-team model versus current model. I have to take notes because I'll forget. But I'm going to wait until we get one of our guests to join the show here in just a minute. All right, let me go back to this. All right, here we go. All right, appreciate all you guys that have jumped in and tuned on and are sitting watching the Thanksgiving Day parade and just decided, you know what, I'd rather spend my time with BDB. So we're gonna go check that guy out. Thanks for being here. You're probably sitting on your couch waiting to go over to your in-laws, waiting for your in-laws to come over, friends, family, all that wonderful stuff. Lots of turkey to be had today, and I hope you guys all have a happy Thanksgiving. For some reason, I don't know what happened, but I guess StreamYard did an update and it wiped off a lot of the stuff that I had built in. I don't know why. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Not what I wanted, but what are you going to do these days? All right, we're just going to go with that. Mo better. Shout out to everybody who jumped in the chat this morning. Jay Shipes, Texas Rocks, 225 girl. Who else we got in here? I know we got more than that. Robert, KD2, yeah, something. Yeah, appreciate you guys being here. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the show on this wonderful Thanksgiving Day. Smoking brisket, F turkey. I will take both, sir. I will have a heaping helping of both. Remember, if you're going to fry a turkey today, please take all of the proper precautions. Make sure your turkey is completely thawed. Make sure you do not fill the bin all the way up. Make sure you have the right amount of space between your frying and everything around you. Keep small children's, dogs, and women away from flammable objects. Hairspray is bad for flammability reasons. Also, if you want to look into the proper fire extinguishing agent, do that. Fried turkey is the best, but it is also the most dangerous. Somebody burns a house down every year because of frying a turkey. Please be careful. Don't visit the ER today, guys. We got too much football tomorrow to be watching it from the ER room. All right. We're going to talk about the schedule tomorrow. Probably going to get a lot of notifications. You guys hear notifications going off. It's because I pay people to send me notifications to make me feel important. Okay. Ole Miss versus Mississippi State coming on at noon. Let's be honest. That game is only interesting because people want to know what's going to happen after the game. Lane Kiffin's been super cryptic about what he's going to do, whether he's going to stay with Ole Miss, whether he's going to go somewhere else. I think this is really poor timing on his part because he said he's going to tell us after the game, which if you're going to stay, that's the only time you would tell people that you were going to stay. And if you were going to go, that's a terrible time, especially if you win that game. I mean, even if you lose that game, you're probably still going to the playoffs, right? So I don't know. There's a link down in the chat for Keith. Offered to have him join the stream here. Also invited Trenches, but it doesn't look like he's responded yet. I don't know. Like I said, apparently YouTube did some update or StreamYard did some update. I think it's YouTube did an update, but stuff is showing up weird now. I don't know why. I have no idea why. Texas Rocks 8428 is not his normal handle. May have to go back and change or update that thing. It may have defaulted back to something else. All right. There's some interesting information for people. All righty then. But if you're Lane Kiffin and you're going to leave Mississippi, Ole Miss, which whatever. If you want to leave Mississippi, leave Mississippi. If your wife's not happy, your wife's not happy. Family's not happy, family's not happy. Do what you got to do. But there's Keith. I think.
Yeah, I'm here. There we go.
Forgot to press the mute button, huh?
Yeah.
I've done that. I've done half a show like that.
I've even changed my logo to like the default, like OBS or something.
Yeah, it's weird. All I can do is edit your mic settings. I can't edit your image.
That's all right. I need to get my camera back.
Yep. I got an extra one. If you need me to send you one, let me know.
I got one floating around somewhere. Sawyer steals it sometimes from me.
Gotcha. So, what is your thoughts on Lane Kiffin? Not where he's going. Not asking that question yet. Asking the question of the reasoning or the process of making this decision or announcing this decision after the Ole Miss game.
I mean, it's always tough whenever this kind of, I guess, question comes out as far as where you're going to go in what you're planning on doing, because it's like any profession. I mean, you don't want to make a decision hastily but at the same time, when you're a coach at one of these schools, it's public. When you get offered, or when there's obviously a position that you're obviously one of the best candidates for, and it's you got to do right by the school that you're at, and also make sure that the other schools are aware that you're still considering them, so they don't go hire someone. So I'm sure it's a very dangerous tightrope to walk. And I don't know what's better. I don't know what's better with saying, hey, I'll announce what I'm going to do, at some point in the future, or if you just say nothing, because both of them is equally kind of controversial, I guess. Not really controversial, but like it's going to lead to people asking questions. Oh, he hasn't said what he's going to do, so he's probably going to leave. So I don't know. I mean, unless you're planning on 100% staying where you're going, I mean, I think you have to kind of wait until at least the end of the season. But I mean, they may potentially make a playoff game and all this other stuff. So I mean, it's not like their season's necessarily over tomorrow,
Yeah, and that was kind of my thought. I thought the timing was extraordinarily weird, because me personally, granted, Ole Miss is a team of mercenaries right now, right? There's a ton of players in there from the transfer portal. They came to play for Lane Kiffin, not necessarily play for Ole Miss. And so if they end up going to a different school or following him to a different school, no big deal to them, right? I'm sure there's NIL money that would be at whatever school he chooses to go to, because Lane, let's be honest, he's at least going to make a lateral, if not a step up. So you're going to have just as much money, NIL money, to offer these kids as you would have had if you had stayed where you're at. Now, my thought process is, if Lane Kiffin decides that he's going to stay, right? If he's already made the decision to stay, why hasn't he said so? Because that's just, you're not helping anything by not. If you're staying, you're not helping anything by not saying anything.
I mean, if he's made the decision to stay, he would have absolutely said something.
I would think so.
I mean, because that would be the right thing to do by all parties, right? It would let Ole Miss, let Ole Miss kind of calm down, not have to worry about the future. It would also let the other schools know, hey, my coaching decision is shut down, so look elsewhere. So I mean, the only scenario here is that he's entertaining these two schools, and you'd be an idiot not to. You're gonna have LSU and Florida and Arkansas and Penn. I mean, all these schools are basically going to be auctioning. You know what I mean? Well, and so I mean, you could. I mean, I know he says it's not about the money, but you're in a unique situation where you could literally drive your salary through the stratosphere right now.
And I agree with that, but I also think that there may be something else in play here because we're not talking about just an everyday coach. We're talking about Lane Kiffin. And Lane Kiffin is an excellent, and I say this in the most endearing terms possible because I love seeing it done right. He is the most effective coach at being a troll.
Yeah.
He is excellent at it. And so I'm wondering if that isn't playing a factor in is he is he teasing some of these other schools, like kind of dangling the carrot only to hit them with the stick, and in the process preventing them from maybe getting another coach just because he can, right? And also at the same time, kind of some 40 chess here, using it to increase what he could get paid at Ole Miss if he stayed.
Yeah. I mean, the obvious. I mean, if it's not about the money, as he says, I mean, the obvious thing is to stay at Ole Miss, right? I mean, Ole Miss is going to build a statue for him. Whereas if you go to Florida, I mean, you're going to be in Spurrier and Urban Meyer's shadow, and I don't even know if you have a long enough career left to outdo those guys. You know what I mean? You would have to be wildly successful, wildly early to even put a stamp next to, put your coaching stamp on that school. And it's kind of the same thing at LSU. I mean, you're just going to be another good coach that came through that program. You know what I mean? Whereas, like I said, Ole Miss, even if he doesn't really do anything else, he's going to have them in the playoff or in the playoff picture every year. Now that we've gone to a 12-team playoff, like school's going to put a statue out in front of the stadium for him. But he's not going to earn that kind of thing at LSU and Florida, likely.
But now, so there is the legacy mentality of it, and I understand and respect that. But let's also talk about something else. Let's talk about family a little bit, right? So if you are if you're a family man and you're interested in trying to provide the best life possible for you, there's no doubt he would have an outstanding, excellent life living in Mississippi. And I'm not saying this to disparage anybody in Mississippi or anybody that loves Mississippi. I'm merely pointing out the facts. Mississippi is currently anywhere between 19 to almost 20% poverty rate. And it's one of the highest in the country. Versus where if you were to look at like Florida, their poverty rate is only 12%. And so there's a huge difference in, I would say, economical incentives to stay.
Yeah,
if I had an opportunity between living in a rundown city, you could take your pick of cities, or living in Florida, where there's a nice beach there. Hey, I get Mississippi got a little bit of a beach, got a little, but it's also really close to the Delta and the swamps. But me personally, I had a choice between living in Florida and my wife and kids at the beach in Florida, and there's tons of stuff to do in Florida, or living in Mississippi. It's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, these folks. He lives in the circles where he doesn't live in Mississippi, man. His kids go to private schools.
Well, I know that, but
he flies on the Gulf Stream. He can go to Florida and hang out for a day and come back in the same day on a private jet if he wants to. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Florida and LSU are more appealing jobs to anybody that you would think would be in his shoes. But again, I mean, I don't know what he's going to do. Because like you said, he's definitely a troll, and he could literally just come out and say, "Hey, I'm staying at Ole Miss,"
But Kiffin is so much of a troll.
Yeah.
It would not surprise me if he came out tomorrow and said he wants the job at Colorado, just to stir the pot.
Yeah, he's I mean, it's gonna be interesting. Early on, I thought he was going to. I certainly thought he was going to be gone to Florida.
They offered him a truckload and a half of money, dude.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it. Even if you're going to do that, you can't make it. I mean, you can't say anything now because I mean, your team is in contention. You got to play out this season. I mean, there's wild scenarios that could have them in the SEC championship game. I mean,
Oh yeah,
so if Alabama and Texas A&M both lose, then it's us versus them. I think in the SEC championship game, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So I mean,
so since we're talking about poverty and low income and kind of the bargain basement of stuff here, let's talk about Florida State. I know Florida State's one of your favorite teams, and the Florida Gators. And by one of your favorite teams, I mean one of your favorite teams to watch lose. So,
yeah,
this is an interesting game here, guys. You've got the Florida State Criminals at 5-6, and before we go any further, I have to redress the super speeder from Georgia, who's no longer on the team. Got fired immediately. 150 is a little fast with your siblings in the car, even for Georgia players. So I completely respect and agree with Kirby Smart's decision to immediately kick him off the team. Kirby Smart kicked him off the team before he ever talked with him. I don't know if you did that or not.
Yeah. You saw that one coming from a mile away. I mean, he's pretty much got a zero tolerance on that stuff now.
Yeah, you don't mess around. Florida State 5-6. Florida State fighting desperately to make a bowl, coming down to their last season of the game. Last game of the season. Let's talk about their greatest win. They are the only team this season to beat Alabama. They peaked in kindergarten in week 1. They have since gone on to lose to Virginia, Miami, Pitt, Stanford, Clemson, and North Carolina State. And now they're up against the 3-8 Florida Gators.
Yeah. I don't know if you watched that. The last game they played, was it Pitt they played this past weekend?
It was NC State.
NC State, yeah. That the collapse at the end of that game with they had like 3 catastrophic things that happened within about a minute and a half of game time when they basically had a punt that hit one of their players in the back of the head.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so that turned the ball back over. Then on that drive, they dropped an interception that literally hit the guy in the hands. And I mean, it could have potentially been a pick 6, and he just drops it. And then they finally hold him and to another punt, and the dude muffs that punt. So it's like, and that all happened within about a minute and a half. So you almost make the argument that, like, are you trying to lose this game? It's like
they had 4 turnovers and 8 penalties.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for them because I mean, they've had a struggle bus season, and but I mean, a lot of the games they were right there. They had opportunities to win just about every one of them. I mean, they didn't really get destroyed by anybody. Well, I think like maybe one game they just got their tail whipped, but other than that, they were right there with just about everybody.
If you're looking at the stats, I mean, the stat lines were way closer than what you thought they would have been.
I mean, there's been multiple games this year where they've outgained their opponent and lost. Like if you looked at the stats, you would think they won the game until you find one of those key stats, like you said, 4 turnovers. I mean it's hard to make that up.
I mean, the only team that can make up a 4 turnover loss is Georgia when we had Carson Beck, only out of just sheer miraculous ability of Kirby Smart and coaching staff. They don't have that at Florida State.
Yeah, and I mean it's interesting, and I'm looking at the line right now. It looks they have Florida. Florida is a 1.5 point favorite in that game. And FSU is going to be fighting for a bowl game. I mean, they were fighting for a bowl game in that last game. The NC State game was, it was the matchup of 2 teams. Like both teams needed a 6th win. And so it was, whoever won that game was going to clinch a bowl game. And man, they threw it away big time.
They really threw it away. I mean, Florida State had a lot of opportunity there to go ahead and at least put some kind of shine on their season, because after their massive downhill just fall apart. After they won their first 3 games, they were 3-0, and then they went 4 straight losses.
Yeah. And like I say, you look at those games, and it's all within one score.
So you got 4 straight losses: Virginia, Miami, Pitt, and Stanford, and then you win one at Wake Forest to make it even, right? So then you lose one at Virginia Tech, and you win one at lose one at Clemson, win one at Virginia Tech to even it back out, and then lose one at North Carolina State. So it's like you're on a trend here. If you win this game, yeah, you'll be there, but it's crazy. And by the way, Virginia Tech's 3-7, which is terrible. And but I digress. If we look at Florida, oh, good old Vic too. Happy Thanksgiving Day there, Vic too. My favorite MVP of the Slob Olympics. We'll talk about Thanksgiving favorite dishes here in a minute. So Long Island, let's talk about Florida Gators. I've got their schedule pulled up in front of me. Now, they didn't start their season off as near as great as Florida State did. They had a win against Long Island. And this is the thing I want to point out. I'm going to point out games that they could have won but didn't win, right? So they lost to South Florida by 2 points. They lost to LSU by 10, but it was 20-10. And that's really, to me, that's not that great of a win. Georgia had some wins like that. I'm not saying they're not. But then they go out and they played. They beat Texas. Like they beat Texas 29-21. Then you lost to Texas A&M. Understandable. You beat Mississippi State by 2. You lose to Georgia by 4. But then somehow you lose to Kentucky 38-7. I mean, just absolute blowout by a 4-5 Kentucky team. And Kentucky's not good. Kentucky's not good. The most points that they scored this season against against a SEC opponent was Florida. They only scored 10 points against Auburn. They scored 34 points against Texas, still lost, or Tennessee lost. They scored 13 against Texas. They scored 14 against Georgia, 13 against South Carolina, and 23 against Ole Miss. They only scored 17 against Vanderbilt. But somehow Florida allowed them to score 38. I mean, that sounds like give up mode to me.
Yeah, I think Florida. I mean, Florida had a tough schedule, but some of the stuff you see, particularly in the SEC, I think is a result of a lot of the transfer portal NIL stuff. I mean, college football is starting more and more to resemble the NFL, where teams can just go out and get beat. Like, there's not unless you're like one of the elite teams, and these teams cycle in and out, or historically cycle to the top every now and then. But I think that's even going to be harder now. I think coaching is going to be a bigger factor, as far as like on the field coaching is going to be a bigger factor in college than it always has been. Like, I've always said that, coaching in college is unique because you always have to recruit, and recruiting to some degree is more important than the X's and O's on the field. Because if you can fill your team full of the best players in the country, then you don't have to like win the X's and O's game as much, because they're just going to win on raw talent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now you don't necessarily have that. Like Georgia and these teams have the talent, but they don't have the depth. They don't have the depth that they used to have. You don't have the Quay Walker type players, that stick around for all 4 years and finally get a chance to play in their senior year and go on to be a first round draft pick. Those guys move on somewhere where they can play. And, and that's a discussion, for a different topic, but, I'm all for these players moving around, but I think it's created a lot of parity, particularly at the midfield of football teams. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you have a game, you have teams like Florida and Kentucky where you might see, like you say, Kentucky blow out Florida, and it's because you don't have this talent edge anymore. You might have the better talent, but not by a significant amount, to the point where a couple of things goes wrong and you blow out. You know what I mean? It's just like the NFL. Like, you play in the NFL and these teams are so razor close, even between the best and the worst.
Yeah.
You have a turnover here, a turnover there, like a key injury, and it's like, boom, that's enough to sway the game because they're just so close in talent. And, to say that Kentucky and Florida is close in talent is probably, I mean, it's not true. I mean, Florida's definitely got more talent. I mean, they have a really good roster
Yeah.
As starters. You know what I mean? But like, those guys that aren't starters are going to the Kentuckys and going to the other places, and they're playing against these people, playing against these guys. So it's like, yeah, you might have the 5-star, but Kentucky's got the high 4-star. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
and let's and while we're talking about that real quick, and sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good.
We have recently been shown a little bit behind the curtain, and if you've been paying attention, traditionally for years I was one of those person where I looked at the recruiting rankings and I go, oh, we got 4 5-stars and we got 20 4-stars, and then you would look at another team and they would have 1 5-star and 22 4-stars, and you're like, oh, our team's way better. But if you look at recent data, you really start looking at the results of those players, and you're like, man, the way they rate these players is ridiculous. Arch Manning being the biggest example I can point at right now, supposedly the highest rated 5-star ever, and then a 5-star quarterback. And then you look at Gunnar Stockton, and Gunnar Stockton's numbers on every facet blows him out of the water. But yet Gunnar Stockton was a 4-star recruit, and Arch Manning was the highest one ever. And I was like, it doesn't make sense. So to your point, when you see somebody that's a 4-star or a 5-star, don't get it twisted.
Yeah, you're kind of splitting hairs, and it kind of depends on who rated them and when they watched them and all this stuff. But it's interesting. I was talking about this with Chris the other day. We went through a very short period where it felt like recruiting high school players was not going to be the focus of, like, if you needed to put a football team together, right? It seemed like the transfer portal was where you would want to go to look for players, because these players, you've already seen them take college snaps, and you can kind of search it almost like Amazon to find, like, we need wide receivers, so let's look for the wide receivers. You're going to sort it by wide receivers and show me all the wide receivers, and so it allows you to kind of build your team. And so, for a short time there, I thought that the focus of recruiting was going to move away from spending all this effort to recruit the best players out of high school, because you don't know what you're getting. You're likely to get burned with those guys, exactly for the reasons we just talked about. The star ratings, if you're going by that without actually laying eyes on these guys, you can get fooled very easily. Whereas out of the portal, you know what you're getting. You've seen these guys take snaps for the most part. But now it almost seems like, teams are getting younger, like Kirby was talking about in the press conference, post-game press conference, that the teams are younger because now, because of the people transferring away from your school to go play, you're having to rely on younger players to fill these roles, and you're having to play, freshmen and sophomores when you otherwise wouldn't play them. So it's almost like ebbed back even within a year. It's like now you do need to recruit the really good guy out of high school because he's likely going to start for you. You know what I mean? You look at what Georgia's doing. I mean, when's the last time Georgia has had this type of, of effort, and this time, relied on freshmen as much as they have this year, as much production from a freshman class. It's been a while. You had to be really good to get your feet on the field with Georgia as a freshman.
Yeah. And not only that, you're looking at a different environment for coaching. Like, these guys aren't just, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't feel like you can really hammer on players like you used to be able to. Like, there's some coaches that can still do it just because they have the reputation of being successful and putting players in the NFL, like Kirby Smart. For those of you who don't watch or don't pay attention, there's tons of TikTok videos and YouTube videos that pop up all the time of students walking around campus that can overhear Kirby Smart chewing somebody out over the PA system when they're at practice. Not all coaches can do that, because if you've got a highly talented 4 or 5 star player and you're at a school like, we'll just say Florida, and all of a sudden you don't have a winning record, all of a sudden, your job's in peril. You can't go out there and get in these players' pocket like that, because they'll just be like, I'm just going to transfer, dude. So
Yeah.
different environment. Like, used to, coaches held the cards because they'd be like, you're not going to transfer. And if you transfer, you got to sit out a year. And I'm not going to let you transfer to anywhere in the SEC. So bump you. And so the players really kind of had to step up and play. Now it's not that way. It's almost like a free for all.
Yeah. And go back to what I was saying. I thought for a long time coaching in college was about recruiting. You recruit the best players, you put them on the field, and you can win football games, no matter how good of an X's and O's coach you are. Now I think it's ebbed back the other way. I think you're seeing the X's and O's coaches like win now. You look at Georgia. Georgia has not won this year because we just out talented everybody.
No.
We've won this year because Monday through Friday we have worked our tail off and understood that the fourth quarter was when games were won, and we were just conditioned better. We had a better mindset. We were coached better. There's no other explanation for that, for this team being beat in the first half and then turning it around and winning in the second half. I mean, that takes adjustments, which is coaching. It takes having buy-in from your players, which is coaching. And I mean, your on the field coaching, I think, means more in college right now than it ever has. And I think it's evidenced by what we see with the scores, particularly these midfield teams. Like, anybody can win any weekend because, the edge is not there with talent, and it's all about coaching and little things that happen on the field, like a turnover here or there, or a field position here or there can literally, swing the game for most of these teams.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, it has for Florida. I mean, it has for Georgia. I mean, we don't make that pass to London Humphreys in that Tennessee game. This is a whole different season.
Oh yeah, completely different. We would likely still be in the playoffs, but we would probably be closer to being on the bubble.
Oh yeah, we would certainly be on the bubble. We would need to win. We would need to win tomorrow for sure.
Whenever you look at, if you go back and you look at the Georgia-Texas game, which obviously most recent game we've played, one of the things that I would encourage you to look at is how we played in that game. We looked like an entirely different football team in that whole game. Like, it wasn't close. Like, first half, Georgia walked out there very methodical. We didn't score in the third quarter, but we walked down the field and we were pretty close to scoring, so we scored early in the fourth. Gunnar Stockton went 24 for 29. When was the last time you seen a quarterback go 24 for 29 or anywhere in that range against a top 10 opponent? It's been a long time.
Yeah, Gunnar is I don't think Gunnar is getting the respect that he deserves in the quarterbacks of the country. I just
without looking at the number, do you know what his QBR was in that game?
No, I don't, but I know it had to be high because, I mean, that's a high percentage completion.
94.3. That is higher than Joe Burrow whenever he won the Heisman. So, to your point, no, he's not getting the credit and respect he deserves.
Yeah, I mean, this dude has been integral to this football team. I mean,
100%.
I mean, he's the one. Him and CJ Allen are the two players that has not taken a game off. Like, they have played every game exceptionally.
I agree.
I can't point to a game and say, "Oh, Gunnar had a bad game and we still won," or, what I'm saying? Like, he hasn't been like through the stratosphere every game, but he shows up. He gives you 100% effort. He's putting it on the line. He's doing what he needs to win. He may not be hitting the open guy down the field, but he's not putting the ball in harm's way.
The the
And in
two
fact, he's
games,
thrown two interceptions recently, but I'm happy with that because that means he's pushing the ball down the field finally,
correct.
and we see that. Like he's pushing the ball down the field in the
Well,
latter half of the season here, which is gonna turn into picks.
well, it's hard to be upset whenever you throw an interception against a really talented Texas team. You throw an interception against, and believe it or not, Florida's got a lot of talent. We did throw an interception in that game, right? And we threw an interception in the Charlotte game, and I really think that was because he didn't. At no point in that game were we ever concerned, so there was no pressure on him, and he was just like, you know what, the hell with it, I'm going to throw it up. I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
see a problem with that. His numbers have been absolutely incredible. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games this season where his QBR rating was over 90%. Actually, over 93%. Now that I look at it, his worst game QBR wise was against Charlotte at 78.5, which is still damn good. And then you have the Marshall game at the beginning of the season. His QBR was 99.4. Against Ole Miss, a lot of people don't know this. Against Ole Miss, his QBR was 97.2. That's incredible. His completion percentage, his one of his highest QBRs was one of his lowest completion percentage. Against Marshall, his completion percentage was 58.3%, still a 99.4 QBR.
yeah. I mean, the Georgia quarterbacks really take a hit because of our running game. You know what I mean? Like you have some of these other teams that have their quarterback throwing for 30 touchdowns, and that's because
Right.
it's because inside the 5-yard line they're in shotgun and throwing the ball.
Yeah.
And Georgia is just not that way. I mean, we're gonna run it. We're gonna feed it to our running backs for the most part.
Yeah.
Now this year we've finally got a quarterback that can run it in, but you're just not gonna, as long as we recruit running backs the way we do, and run the offensive style that we run, we're just not going to have a quarterback that throws for 40 touchdowns.
And Georgia, and I'm just going to be honest with you, Georgia doesn't want that.
Yeah, we want to be able to run the ball because
we want to be able to run the ball. Because running the ball travels. It just does. It's nice to have a quarterback that can push it downfield, but we won both of our national titles because we could run the ball. We just could, and that includes a quarterback. And I honestly feel like Stetson Bennett helped open Kirby Smart's eyes to the ability of what a running quarterback can do to an offense. So,
yeah, I certainly think. I mean, everybody going forward is pretty much going to need a running quarterback. I mean, that it's just about every offense relies on it. Now, you even look at the NFL, like pretty much they all have it. You know, got to have at least the threat. But yeah, I mean, Gunner. If I'm building, and you got to look at Gunner's his connection with his team too. Like I don't know what it is, but they love this guy, and I think it's what the fans see too. I mean, he puts it on the line. He does what he does to to put all the guys in a position to succeed. And when you see him throw a touchdown, I think Brooks Austin pointed this out in one of the videos, but it's something that I'd noticed too. He'll when he throws a deep ball, he threw that deep ball to Noah Thomas. Somehow, Gunner was like one of the first people to him to celebrate with him.
Yeah.
It's like he throws the ball and he's sprinting to the end zone. You know what I'm saying? Like he's one of the first people there to celebrate with you. And it's like that's just, it's easy to play for somebody like that. And that kind of stuff doesn't get factored into the Heisman. And I think it's a damn travesty if he doesn't. I'm not saying he should win, but man, it would be sad if you don't get to see him in New York, sit down and do his interview.
Yeah.
And listen to him talk.
I think he'll get an invite to New York.
As humble as he is, I mean, I could not wait to see him sit down and have a Heisman interview and hear him have to talk about himself. It's going to be so uncomfortable for him because it's just awesome.
Great receivers, man.
It was just awesome. Everything's awesome.
Everything is awesome. So one of the things I want to touch on is we'll talk about Georgia taking a minute. I want to get through, and I got limited time this morning. I want to get through Auburn. I want to get through Texas. There's no point in talking about Ohio State more than just a minute or two here. Ohio State should win this game pretty easily. It's a rivalry game. Anything can happen in a rivalry game. So sick of hearing that. We all know that anything can happen any Saturday on college football, and saying that anything can happen in a rivalry game is just a new spin on an old story. Um, you can lose any week. You can lose any given week. So I think Ohio State, even if they play a mid game here, I think they'll win that just fine. Yeah, you got thoughts on that real quick?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm somewhat interested in this game because, I mean, I don't really know how good Ohio State is. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know if this game is gonna tell us anything if they lose or win. I mean, they're gonna be in the playoff regardless. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see them lose this game because I don't think they're nearly as good as they appear, I should say.
Well, no, 100% I agree with that. And for those of you who are not
And
rather avid football fans,
I'm just ready to see them play a good football team, and
yeah.
hopefully we get a good game and we can see something, you know.
So what Keith is talking about, if you guys don't know much about the Big Zero, I mean the Big Ten, this is the teams that they played this year. I would be willing to buy somebody a beer if they could go. If I can go through this list and you can name all the mascots, like not I'm going to name the team, name the mascot. Okay, easy one. We'll start off Texas. What's their mascot, Keith?
Longhorn.
All right, Grambling.
Oh man, you put me on the spot. I don't know.
Nobody does. Nobody does.
Like I don't know.
The imitation G, Grambling. I think it's a bulldog. I'm not sure. That's the Tigers. The Tigers. Okay. Ohio, Miami of Ohio.
Aren't they the Hurricanes? No. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Bobcats.
Yeah.
Washington. You got this one.
Yeah, it's Husky. You know, I heard somebody make an interesting quote the other day, and I don't remember where I saw it, and it may be everybody may have heard it. I don't remember if it was like a national media person or some TikTok video I saw, but somebody made the comment that Florida would likely be undefeated with their schedule.
You know, I think I heard that somewhere too.
And that's an interesting, like when you hear that, it's like, what? And then you look and you're like, yeah, I mean, the toughest person they've played is Texas. Florida beat Texas. So, I mean, like, and then you would like
them by a bigger margin.
Yeah, and you like Florida in each one of the other matchups. You know what I mean? So, I mean,
well, if you go, I'm gonna go.
I would say that they would go undefeated against those teams, but I think they'd be favored. You know,
I don't disagree with you. If we look at all the teams that they played, I mean, a lot of these teams are absolutely just terrible. And I mean, not bad. Like bad is like, you know, Tennessee, right? You know, people's gonna get mad about that one. I don't care. So let's talk about the teams they played. Grambling Tigers 7-4. Okay. They have played a bunch of like directional schools like Alabama A&M, Jackson State, AR Pine Bluff, Texas Southern, Prairie View, Kentucky State, Bethune, Alcorn, and Southern U. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much you love college football. You might have known two of those teams. Okay. And Grambling is 7-4 in that ridiculous schedule. The Bobcats, it's basically the same thing as 7-4. Washington Huskies is decent, 8-3. Illinois 7-4. Wisconsin Badgers is 4-7. Penn State's 5-6. Purdue is 2-9. UCLA is 3-7. And Rutgers is 5-6. This is a trash can schedule, especially on the back end. Like, dude,
yeah, it's pretty bad. And that's not to say that Ohio State is not a good football team. I mean, they won the national championship last year with arguably the same schedule. After, you know, I think they had 2 losses in the regular season. Right. So I mean, you know, they got hot at the right time. And again, I think this goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Like, you know, this is not something that we've normally seen in college football, where a team just gets better as the season goes on and it hits a hot streak. Like that's what you see in professional sports. You know, you see that in baseball right now. Yeah, exactly. You're seeing it out of Georgia right now, but that's not something you normally see in college football. In college football, you've had the teams like teams get hot and you have ranked in the top 5 and they lose a game at the end of the year, and without a 12-team playoff, I don't even think Ohio State makes the they wouldn't even be in consideration last year. You know what I mean? Like but they earned it because now we have a 12-team playoff. They had to win a couple of really good opponents to prove, to earn that national championship. But before, when there was only 4 teams last year, I don't think they'd have even been in there, right? Didn't they have 2 losses during the regular season? They lost to Michigan, and didn't they lose another game? I'm pretty sure that Michigan game was their second loss.
Yeah,
I may be wrong on that, but I think that's right.
Here's what I want to point out. Anybody who says the SEC plays cupcakes, Georgia has played 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll have played 5 teams here when we get through with Georgia Tech. 5 ranked teams. When we played them, they were ranked. That's the only way you can count it. You can't count all this other weird stuff people try to do. That's nearly half of our schedule as a ranked opponent. Nearly half. And that ain't no easy feat. Georgia has one of the hardest strength of schedules in the country. The Ohio State Buckeyes, when they play Michigan, will have played 2.
Yeah.
3. Excuse me, 3.
And I think
there's no comparison.
I think the people on the other side of that argument, I guess, would say that the SEC gets ranked higher than they should. And there's probably some truth to that, but it's not just the SEC. It happens to everybody. Look at Penn State. Weren't they like number 2 in the country and now barely going to make a bowl game? So, I mean, it's not just the SEC. It's all of these big-time schools. They get the benefit of the doubt. Texas, look at Texas. I mean, Texas is an SEC, but I mean, they got the benefit of the doubt, not because they're in the SEC, but because their name is Texas and they have Arch Manning, who hadn't even really played any football, but his name being attached to that program put them at number 1 team in the country in the preseason.
So here's what I'll point out, right? So if we go back,
these preseason rankings are just terrible for football.
They are.
It sets a precedent. It makes it where week 2, somebody outside the top 25 can beat somebody in the top 5, and then all of a sudden that person outside the top 25 is now a top 10 school. And it's like, well, maybe, just maybe, that the guy you got ranked at number 2 is not the number 2 in the country, and you shouldn't vault this team from nowhere up to the top 10, because now they're in the top 10, and then some team at like 25 or outside is going to beat them the next week because they're not as good as they should have been. And now some other team outside the top 25 is beating the number 8 team. And it's just the preseason rankings just make stuff move around too much, and it inflates schedules because nobody really knows how good these teams are, but yet teams get moved around based off of their ranking and who they beat in the first week. It's just dumb. I think they should wait 3 weeks before they put a ranking out.
So I've got it pulled up right now. The preseason top 25 versus current rankings. Okay. Texas was ranked number 1. Texas is not inside the top 15. They're close, but they're not inside the top 15 right now. Penn State was ranked number 2. They're completely out. Ohio State ranked number 3, currently number 1. Clemson ranked number 4. They're currently out. Georgia was ranked 5 preseason. They're currently number 4. Notre Dame was ranked 6. They're currently 9. Oregon was ranked 7. They're currently 6th. Bama was ranked 8. They're currently 10. LSU was ranked 9. They're out. Miami was 10 at preseason. They're ranked 12 now. And that's your top 15. So, and there are a few here that are kind of outliers, like Texas Tech. Texas Tech was ranked 23 preseason. They're currently number 5, and I think a big part of that is their schedule. Indiana was ranked 20. They're currently number 2. Yeah. But what I'm saying, though, is that even though some of these numbers have moved around a little bit, it's not a complete wash. Now, the reason I bring that up is because if you go back and you look at the past 10 years, and I'm saying from 14 to 24 because that's what we'll pull up quick, you're looking at Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, LSU, Georgia, and Michigan. Those are your national champions over the past 10 years. Ohio State has 2, Georgia has 2, Alabama has 3, Clemson has 2, and LSU has 1. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the last 10 through that set is SEC teams. So don't tell me that it's SEC bias whenever you see SEC teams playing not SEC teams for a national championship. Did happen Georgia, Alabama, but for the most part, it's SEC teams versus other conference champions, and the SEC is still winning. So that bias has some grounding in reality. So if you say there's SEC bias, I can just point at numbers and go, well, look how many players we put in the NFL. Look how many national titles we hold. Look how we perform. People say, oh, what about bowl games? Guys, if your standard is to win the Ford Fiesta Bowl, and that's what you base your season off of, that is exactly why you're mad about SEC bias. I'm not saying you shouldn't care about those games, but I will tell you traditionally teams don't care about those.
Yeah, it's just now that we have a 12-team playoff, I mean, a lot of it is lost in the wash because you're not having the small margins like you normally would. When you were talking about the top 4 teams in the country, it was like arguing that 4th team and then basing it off of strength of schedule and who they beat, and then you look at like, hey man, I mean, you guys got credit for beating the top 5 team in the country. Well, that team ain't even ranked now.
Yeah.
But you got credit for winning a top 5. It was easy to have those arguments back in the day. But now with the top 12, with the 12-team playoff, you gotta, I mean, you kind of got to prove yourself to be in the top. I mean, there's always going to be arguments at the cutoff spot, but the teams that get included, it generally works its way out by the end of the season. Yeah. But it does make things wonky through the first half of the season, trying to talk about who's the best. And you guys got Penn State ranked up there, and it's like we need to let them play football. Let them play. I guess I know it gives us something to talk about, but I don't know that people really care about talking about rankings in the first part of the season.
I think the only reason that you see that, and I know this is going to sound ridiculous, I think the only reason you see that is for betting purposes.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, even then, nobody knows what. I mean, nobody knows what they're talking about. Even Vegas doesn't know what they're talking about in the first 2-3 weeks.
Your best bet at beating Vegas is week 1. Yeah. That's your best bet. It's also the most unpredictable of anything. Let's jump over. So I'm going to take Michigan. I mean, I'm going to take Ohio State in this game. Michigan hasn't shown me. Now they are ranked number 15. I get all that, but they struggled to beat Nebraska. It was 30-27. They did beat USC, but I mean, I don't see this offense scoring more than really 30 points. And I feel like you got to score more than 30 to beat Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know who to pick in this game. I mean, I think the easy pick is Ohio State. I think they got the edge. I mean, I think they got the better players for sure. They got the edge at quarterback, obviously, but I think the game's going to be closer than people think. I mean, I think there is some stuff for it being a rivalry game. I know we talked about that earlier, but I think Michigan is going to prepare. They always prepare for this game.
This is their Super Bowl.
Yeah, and so I think they're fighting to stay relevant as well. I mean, they're 9-2. A win over Ohio State makes their playoff odds very interesting.
If they beat Ohio State, I really feel like they have to put them in. You can't simultaneously say, well, we've had Ohio State at number 1 for X amount of weeks, and then here comes Michigan, their biggest rival, comes along and punches them right in the face, and then they've got a 10-win season. They're looking at a 10-win season. You can't say
that would put Michigan in the championship game too, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
they'd play them back-to-back just like they did last time.
Yeah. So, actually, I think they would play Indiana, right? Because Indiana's undefeated. So.
Indiana is undefeated. You are correct.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, unless
and also
they're playing this weekend, but yeah.
We also forgot to mention
and Oregon is there too, so I don't know what
exactly.
Yeah.
Oregon's in there.
They would have one of those 3-way ties, which I don't know how they handle theirs, but
it's that picture of Spider-Man where they're all pointing at one another.
Yeah, I know. I've come a little familiar with the SEC one because I was trying to figure out what Georgia's chances of making the SEC championship game were. So I'm sure it's probably something similar.
Let me jump in here real quick. We got to hammer through a bunch of stuff here real quick. First of all, if you've made it this far and you're not subscribed, you can subscribe. You can also become a member and join the show. The best way to support the show is to become a member. I want to say it's like $3 or $4 or $5 a month. It's not a lot. Buys your boy a cup of coffee. We're looking at trying to get a new webcam / DSLR, which is the next step in the program to make the content quality better. We've got some excellent video editing software, which I think you guys have seen here recently. We've also leveraged some AI technology to create some of the music that you guys are starting to hear. That way we don't get copyright when we try to make some of these videos. So if you guys would be so kind as to hit like, subscribe, and share, hit the thumbs up, become a member, support the channel. Really appreciate you guys so much. And I'm going to put out a poll later on what one of the things I want to look at doing is to adding a coffee line that you guys can buy straight from the show there. So that having been said, let's jump over to the you. All right, so we got to do this one real quick. Texas A&M versus Texas. Tell me who you got.
I'm taking Texas. I'm taking Texas. I think Texas A&M is good, but I think they've played the bottom of the bin SEC teams.
I agree.
They haven't really played anybody in the conference. I mean, until they can show me they can beat these teams and get in. I mean, they got edged out last year. A very similar situation. I just. They've been taken to the end by some teams that really shouldn't have done it. I mean, I think they went into overtime against Arkansas. South Carolina had an opportunity to beat them. So, I mean,
Auburn.
I'm taking Texas, and I'm actually going to take Texas by double digits.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, I think Texas is going to win by 10.
I think Texas is going to win. I think Texas is going to win this by 2 touchdowns, and here's why. I think Texas has every reason in the world to go out here and guerrilla stomp Texas A&M because a lot of them feel like Georgia disrespected them. We did. That 35-10 was such a punch in the nose. Texas fans are really upset about it. They went out and hung 48 on Stanford. Not 48 on Stanford, excuse me. Texas went out the very next week and said, you know what, guys? We're not going to put up with this. They hung 52 on Arkansas. Now, the reason I say that is because Texas A&M went to overtime with Arkansas. There was never a time in that game where I felt like Texas was not going to absolutely crush Arkansas. And if you're a Texas A&M player, you got to turn around and look at that and go, man, they beat the hell out of Arkansas. We barely beat them. I think Arch Manning comes out. I think Arch Manning has a great game. I think that they're going to run the ball at will for the most part. And I think they're going to win by 2 scores.
Yeah, I just think they're a better team than Texas A&M. I'm sorry. I mean, Texas A&M they've benefited from one of the easiest schedules you could possibly have by playing in the SEC. And I'm not saying they're not a good team. I'm saying they've benefited from the schedule.
I agree.
Very, very much so.
So now Texas is currently what you would say on the bubble, right? This is one of those Michigan, Ohio State things. If Texas beats Texas A&M, how far up does that push them? That's got to put them 7. It's got to put them in like 7 or 8. I would think.
Yeah, I mean, it would move them up dramatically. I mean,
a substantial jump. So
they're still sitting there with 3 losses. So I don't know what it means. I mean, it's going to make things interesting for sure.
And by the way, guys, if Texas wins that game, that puts Georgia in the SEC championship, which I don't want to be. I mean, I love all you Georgia fans, and I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat, Jay. Really appreciate that, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you. Good guy. I don't care what the law enforcement in Tennessee says about you super speeding. You're a good dude to me. So the thing that I'm looking at is that I don't want to play an SEC championship game because I want to risk injury. Now, the flip side of that is that I don't want my team to get rusty either by not playing. So Georgia is still ranked number 4. They could end up playing in the SEC championship game, which does not help them at all.
Yeah. I want to play Alabama again.
I do too.
I want to play them again. I'm sorry. I just want them again. I want Texas A&M to lose. I want Alabama to win so that we play them. I want another shot at those fools, man. I want to play them every week if we can.
Yeah. All right. So let's let's get through this real quick. I got Georgia Tech, Alabama. That's a nice segue to Alabama. Alabama versus Auburn. I got to tell you here, I don't think they're going to play Jackson Arnold. I think they're going to play some of their other guys. They've got some really elite talent there. That backup quarterback they put in last week, Deuce, whatever his name is, dude. I don't know if you watched that. That dude was killing it against Mercer. Oh my goodness. Mobile Deuce Knight. What a great name, right? That's such an Auburn quarterback name, Deuce Knight. Auburn's playing for bowl eligibility. They would love to spoil Alabama's season. They absolutely would love it. And as a Georgia fan, I hate to pull for Auburn. Golly, dog it, I got to pull for Auburn.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. This is the best defense that they will have seen all year, I believe.
Oh, 100%.
And the second best defense that they played all year made Ty Simpson look silly. So
100%.
You look at what Florida State did to them. I mean, Florida State won that game because they got pressure and put Ty Simpson in a situation where he had to win the game himself, and he folded. Like, he looked absolutely terrible in that game. And if they can't find something else, because Auburn is going to get pressure, they have absolutely incredible defensive line. I mean, think back to that Georgia game. I mean, we that was just a tough game. We lucked out on that one. I don't want to say luck, but man, but their defense was incredible. I remember watching that game. I was like, man, these guys are flying all over the field. And I really think that can create some situation, a difficult situation for Alabama. I'm not saying Alabama's going to lose, but I'm thinking this game's going to be close.
5 out of their 6 losses have been by 7 points or less. That's razor tight. That you're talking about going from a 5-6 team to a 10-1 team. I mean, let's be very, very clear. The only team that that they lost to by more than 7 points was Georgia, and they only lost by 10. I mean, this is a team that struggled with the offense up until Vanderbilt. They put 38 points on Vanderbilt, and then last week against Mercer, they put on 62. And I'm telling you right now, if they can play a good defensive game and they can play a decent offensive game, they will beat Alabama. They will do it. And it looks like they got it figured out, one of these new quarterbacks. So, God, I hate to say this. I'm taking Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's too crazy of a pick. I think the game's going to be really, really close. I think it's going to be close. Auburn's defense is going to keep it close. We're going to really get to see what Ty Simpson can do with people all up in his face.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. I'm going to watch that game. I'm going to enjoy that game no matter who loses. All right. That cat's in the bag. Let's let the next cat out of the bag. Georgia versus Georgia Tech.
I don't think this game is going to be as close as I thought it was originally. For a couple of reasons. I think Georgia Tech is kind of spiraling a little bit. I also think that Georgia has finally found a defense. I think we should. I think we should be able to, I guess, contain Haynes King a little bit better than we did last year. I think our team is considerably better than the team that played against them last year, offensively and defensively. Not saying we're gonna, blow out Tech or anything like that, but I'm a lot more confident in this game now than I was maybe about 3 weeks ago or so.
Yeah,
for sure.
So for me, so I got a little bit of a different take. I think Georgia is going to absolutely run wild on Georgia Tech. I think this is going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be close. I think Georgia is going to body slam, monkey stomp, skull drag, whatever you want to call it. They're going to experience a curmudgeoning of curmudgeoning. I don't think it's going to be close. I think for all of the polite conversation that Kirby Smart puts out, he hates Georgia Tech. He hates them.
Yeah.
And I think this is a game where he doesn't want anybody to ever associate what happened last year as a possibility ever again.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. And I think that you saw that in the Georgia game. By the way, Georgia fans, you almost never see a game where Georgia puts in the backup quarterback, right? You almost never see that. You dang sure never see them put in the third string guy. We had our third string quarterback, and I didn't even know his name, right? So that is telling you Georgia's prepping. Georgia's prepping for Georgia Tech, prepping for SEC if necessary, and they're gonna dog stomp them. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, I think
Georgia's gonna win this game by 3 scores.
really.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Georgia win by 10, but I do think the running quarterback, I think Haynes King is still going to be a factor. I think he's going to, I think he's going to convert some third downs here and there that, with his legs. That's going to keep some drives alive for them. I think the guy's a great player, and he's going to show up. He's going to make it tough. And because of that, I don't think we walk away from them. I think they are able to keep the ball enough to keep themselves in the game. But I don't think I'm not afraid of losing this game. I think we win by 2 scores. I think it's going to be by 10 or so. But yeah, I think he's good enough to keep them in the game. I think he's going to make some plays.
I think Alex is pretty well correct. Yes, I think Haynes King is going to make some, but I don't think it's going to be near enough. And the reason I say that is because the thing that keeps them in games and keeps them alive is them being able to run the ball, right? They've got to be able to run the ball. If they can't run the ball, they're in trouble. I 100% believe that Texas has a much better running game than Georgia Tech does, and they rushed the ball for a grand total of 23 yards. They were negative for most of the game. Georgia has figured out how to stop the run. I hate to say it, you're not going to run the ball against Georgia. Whenever we played against Charlotte, their rushing yards were absolutely terrible until they got into the fourth quarter. But they finished the game with 39 yards rushing the ball. If you are a running offense and you're looking at that, you got to go, man, what in the world is going on? How are we going to run the ball? I don't know that they're going to be prepared to be able to run the ball. I get, they're going to try a bunch of this fancy stuff with Haynes King, and I don't feel like it's going to work. I feel like a lot of the stuff that went on with Haynes King was very similar to what we saw whenever Chip Kelly was out in Oregon and he was running the hurry up and everybody had to adjust. And then, but a couple of years after that, after everybody got it figured out, he just wasn't effective anymore. And I feel like it's what you're going to see out of Haynes King. Haynes King, over most teams, will absolutely. It goes back to the triple option. Against teams that don't know how to handle it, they do okay. They do good. But when you play against a team that's done figured you out, you're going to get wrecked. I don't want to hear anything about Buster Faulkner. I don't want to hear anything about how this is a rivalry. Georgia is just a flat out better team with better coaches and better players. And that's what it is.
Yeah, I definitely, I think that's true. I think we're better coach team, better players. And we found a defense that can get home on the quarterback. So, I think we win the game. I think it's going to be comfortable. I'm not going to go 3 scores. I think that's a little much. Like I said, I think the running quarterback still plays a factor. I don't think there's even if you play really good defense, the running quarterbacks just tend to extend drives in situations where they wouldn't otherwise. So I think that's gonna keep the ball out of our hands a little bit. Yeah. I'm thinking, I'm looking at I'm gonna go ahead and give you my score because I got to drop, but gotcha. I'm going like 31-20, like 32-20, something in that lines. I don't think Georgia Tech scores more than about 20 points.
All right. Well, I'll give you mine and then I'll let you go. My score prediction for the game is 38-17.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
does that get your 3 scores? Yeah, I guess it does. 21, huh?
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate Keith joining the show. Texas Rice is 56-3. I like it.
Georgia by 50.
Yeah, Georgia by 50. Really appreciate you joining the show. Thank you. It's always good to have somebody to bounce all this stuff off of. We appreciate your football knowledge, sir.
Yeah, so appreciate it.
Time. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your happy Turkey Day. Happy Thanksgiving, sir. Appreciate
y'all.
Yep. Have a good day. All right, guys. Really appreciate Keith jumping on the schedule here. I've got to bail myself. I've got some Christmas lights to go find and buy and all that wonderful stuff. But if you guys want to support the channel, don't forget to become a member, like, subscribe, and share. Leave a comment down below after the video. Megan, I'm sorry. We didn't get you on. I was really trying to push through the content. Next time, I will do my best to get you on. Thank you for jumping in the chat, in the backstage and hanging out. I'm sorry I couldn't get you on today. I apologize. I will get you on soon. We're going to be doing live streams as we do the normal show stuff. We love seeing you guys there. Leave your score predictions down below. Thank you guys so much. Have a happy, safe Thanksgiving. Don't drink and drive. Get an Uber. Get a friend. Be safe. And if family or something starts to irritate you, hey, just take a day off, take a break, walk away. We don't need any family problems this holiday season, but I appreciate having you guys in here with me. Egg bowl in 1 hour? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Hopefully I can be back in time for that. We'll see what's happening. Is that today? It's not today. It's not today. All right. You guys have a great day. See you soon. God bless. Go Dogs. Keep the change, you filthy animals.